Hey Algebra 2 students, we're going to talk about the properties of logarithms. And so the learning target here in this video is we can simplify and evaluate expressions using the properties of logarithms. So there are three properties that you're going to need to take notes on. And the first one is the product property. So with the product property, when your amounts, are being multiplied, that means you're adding your logarithms. So an example would look like this. So if we have log base 2 of 5 times 6, you could write that as log base 2 of 5 plus log base 2 of 6 and get the same value. So go ahead and pause the video and write this property down. Okay, the second property is the quotient property of logs. So with your amounts, if you are dividing them, then you're going to subtract the logarithms. And an example of this would look like this. So log base 2 of x divided by y. We could write that as log base 2 of x minus log base 2 of y. So whatever on top comes first in that order of the subtraction of logs. So go ahead and pause the video and write that down. That's the second one. And the third one, the properties of logs, the power properties of logs, is when you have a power on your amount right here, you are going to bring that power out in front. And every year I talk about how this is the plugging property. It's plugging, see, P and O. And then we always joke around about what plugging is, but it really is actually a real thing. Can you believe it? Plugging, if you Google it, is jogging and picking up litter. So maybe you could go plug this week. There you go. So what that looks like, an example, if you have log base 2 of x to the 6th, okay, that 6 is going to come out in front here. So that's the last property here. Now we're actually going to practice that. So go ahead and pause the video, write this down. And as we practice this, you're going to see directions like expand or condense. Okay, and expanding means you're going to write this into multiple logs. So you're going to show that property in multiple logs. And then condense is where you write it down as one log. So right here, see how this is as one log? We're going to write this in multiple logs. We're going to expand that. So let's use our property here. So we have multiplication going on right here. When they're right next to each other, that means multiplication. We also have the power. The power is attached to the y. So that needs to come out in front. We're going to plug that out in front. So it's log base 2 of x. Remember, when you're multiplying the amounts here, you're adding your logs together. So plus 3 log base 2 of y. Okay. And here's the next one, number 2. So notice this power out here is to the whole a value in your logarithm, the amount. So log, when you don't see a base here, that means it's log base 10. I had some questions about that in the last lesson. When you don't see a base, it's base 10, and you don't need to write that here. So let's expand this. So the 3 is going to come out in front of the whole thing because it's the whole amount is what we're cubing. So then we're going to take this piece by piece. So this is y to the second. So it's 2 log y. We're dividing, so that's going to be subtraction. So minus 4 log of x. And then we close that off. So here the 3 came out in front because it was the whole amount that we were taking to the third power. Up here it was just attached to the y, so that's why it came here. Okay. All right, next type of examples is condensing. So take a moment to pause the video and write those down. So notice that these are multiple logs here. We're going to write it when we condense it as one log. Okay, so we're going to condense it down. So it looks like we're adding, so that means we're going to multiply our amounts. This 5 here, we're going to, I don't know how to say it, maybe unplug, deplug. Again, if we were in class, we'd have a whole discussion on what we'd want to call it. Unplugging, I don't know how that sounds. But when we write this all as 1, it's log base 5. That's going to be x to the 5th power. That 5 is going to come on the x. Okay, and then we're going to multiply that by y. So are you seeing a lot of the correlation with the exponent properties? And you'll see that in the review video as well. A lot of this has to do, the logarithm properties have a lot to do with the exponent properties as well. That's where they come from. Okay, why don't you try this one on your own? Go ahead and pause the video and see what you come up with here. Okay, so it looks like this 2 is going to come to the m. We're going to unplug. The 3 is going to come to the n. Subtraction means we're dividing. So if we write this as 1 and we condense it, is log base 6. Looks like we're going to have m squared over n to the 3rd power. That's what I got. Hopefully you got the same thing. And I believe that's all we have. So this lesson is just about those properties. And then in the next lesson, what you're going to be doing is using those properties to solve equations with logs. So feel free to email your teacher with any questions that you may have. And yeah, we'll see you later. Have fun plugging. Haha.